Hey there, YouTube friends, Mass Bandit here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me again today. I always do appreciate it. We are back here in Pumpkinpalooza in BroAcres. Sorry, goofy name, I know. In this episode, we are continuing to build out some of the structures as well as some of the more festival-y type things. Kind of gonna have to strike a balance between that. I want it to feel like a functioning farm, or at least there's some farm buildings. So in this episode here, we're building some stables. So that's what these are supposed to be. Went online to do some research, found a variety of different stable buildings. I like this. It's simple. The colors I've changed to be the red barn again. I like the red, that classic red color for the barn and the stables. So I think as far as the park goes, this really wouldn't be available to the public, but still, I think it's worth having because I assume you'd have stables in a farm. I don't know. Where else are your horses going to sleep? So it's actually a really simple structure, but I think it's strong. Like, I don't think you need to have crazy architectural shapes and all kinds of crazy details to sell a specific idea. And that's exactly what is working for this building. It's a simple structure, but it still conveys what it is, and I think it still looks good. At the end, it looks good. I mean, there are some details in this, like we add some little details to the building, but my thought is farm buildings are supposed to be a little more utilitarian than anything else. I mean, sure, you can have fancy stables or fancy barns, but at the end of the day, they are working buildings. They're buildings that are meant for work. So anyway, the light trim, I kind of like that. It's a little bit different than what I normally do, but again, I'm pulling from some specific inspiration, and so I like the lighter trim. I think that it makes it feel newer, like maybe this edition was just reframed or maybe something like that, because the barn looks old, but then the trim kind of looks new. I also like the two-tone and the two material. You've got the wood on the bottom, and then I've used stucco. I think my inspiration might actually be wood on top too, but I like this. Try to do a little cupola, is that what it's called? Yeah, and I just couldn't find a roof small enough, and I don't even think I could make a custom one that small. I mean, I probably could have if I really wanted to, but it didn't feel like it was a big enough detail. Like, I think it looks fine without it. And then it was really easy, well, sort of easy to copy and paste. You'll notice there's a lot of different buildings in this episode, or in this building. There's a lot of different structures built in. That allows me to get the overhang of the roof the way I want it. I mean, even with the quarter tile placement that we have available to us, it was still a little too big. So had to nest some roofs inside each other, which means I think this whole structure is like 4 different buildings. But yeah, and then once it's built, it's a matter of putting it where I want it, and I wanted it to be perpendicular to the ticket building, or I guess parallel to the ticket building. And one of the things in my inspiration is there's, you know, it's a functioning, there's like your guest entrance, but then there would also be like a side entrance for employees and stuff, and that I'm sure gets a lot of use in the not Halloween season. So some people in the comments said that it would look a lot better if it wasn't paved, and that this wouldn't be paved if it was the kind of thing I'm going for. And normally I'd agree with you, and in fact, when I was going, my main inspiration is Bankston Pumpkin Farm in Homer Glen, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. I grew up not too far from that area, so that was always a pretty easy drive for us to make. And actually, I have an aunt that lives out in that area. Yeah, so anyway, when I was growing up going there, it wasn't paved at all. They didn't have any rides, and if they did, I don't think I ever went on any, but it was pretty low-key. But when I went to look at this, when I went to research it, I was blown away. The parking lot's paved, and the entire interior of the farm is paved, where the pumpkin festival goes. Like, there are lots of parts that aren't, but like all the actual like farm parts are definitely not paved, but everywhere where there's pumpkin festival stuff going on, it is paved. So I was really surprised. So there is precedent here. I didn't just go with it another reason, a big reason is why it's all paved is because while the nature paths are great, and I mentioned this in the last episode, it's really difficult to make them work because the stumps are just ugly. They're ugly and they're hard to hide. And so if I can't do it convincingly, I'd rather just do pavement. So there are a couple places where I try to use the nature paths. So keep your eyes peeled for those. And I'm going to try to incorporate them more as we get away from this main area. So, but what we're working on here is a little temporary place where you would go with your pumpkin and you weigh it and you pay per pound, whatever it is, like 50 cents a pound or something. So your 12-pound pumpkin will be $6. And they would set these up. The pumpkin farm we go to out here in Houston has something kind of like this. I think it's actually in an actual building, but you throw your pumpkin down and they weigh it for you and you pay. So that's what I wanted to set up here. I wanted it to look very temporary, like it's clearly only here for the season. And so I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. It's exactly what I was hoping it would be. I think 2 is plenty because each one is 4. I think 8 people, like at the height. The issue is we only have a few functioning Western people that would look right there. So it looks kind of stupid to have the exact same whatchamacallit, the exact same animatronic. But anyway, I'm really happy with the way this looks. I think it's good. And then I think the terrain here really helps sell it as well, like make it look like it's really downtrodden. And I'm coming up with some techniques that I really like. And actually in the next episode, I'm really proud of what I did with the terrain painting. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're trying to make a main area. But I decided to say, good enough. We'll kind of make it, I figured it would kind of be kind of janky. It doesn't have to be completely even with itself. So one of the things I wanted to add in this area here is a place where if you don't want to go on the hayride out to the pumpkin patch, if you just want to come enjoy the day and then grab a pumpkin, they have pre-picked pumpkins here in these big, whatever these are, planters, I guess. And you know, like if you go to the grocery store and they've got those big, like they sell the watermelons in the big cardboard containers and it's full of pumpkins. That's kind of what this is going to be. You just go pick out your pumpkin and maybe they're organized by size. I guess these aren't, but it was surprisingly difficult to make sure the pumpkins looked randomly placed and not like all the same, because you only get 6 varieties of pumpkins and it's hard to make them not look. I think it looks pretty good. I think they look adequately stacked. And I didn't want to make them too big. You'll notice once I got a group I liked, I just kind of spammed all over. I made my wife come in and look. I said, "What is this? How does this do for you?" She goes, "Why is that one cutting through the terrain, and why is that one cutting through the wood?" And I was like, "Damn you!" She was spot on. But I'm glad I made her look so I could make it look a little bit better. And then I wanted to go ahead and kind of do like what Silverette does with his custom roofs, is make some different colors. And there are white. I mean, we have the white pumpkins at the grocery store, and we actually have these bright yellow ones. I didn't include any yellow ones in these, but yeah. And then once I did that, I thought we would just spam a couple of them, make it 3. I think we make 4 of them, because you know, there's plenty of people that probably don't want to get on the hayride and lug a big ass pumpkin back. I don't know, but the hayride stuff is coming in a future episode. You'll notice I'm talking about future episodes. I've actually done enough to record episode 3. I'm going to try and stay ahead of it a little bit. I got a lot done this weekend, so I'm hopeful that I can get a couple episodes at you this week, just enough time to get some more time over the weekend to play and make some more episodes. So hopefully we can expect 2 of these a week, maybe 2 or 3. We'll see. Kind of an every other day, every 2 days type thing. Again, here I go making promises again. So now that I've said that, you know, there won't be anything left. So wanted to make another little photo op, cutesy little spooky, but not horror. And so gave a play with the skeletons here, made a custom skeleton, and there's going to be a big old Easter egg snark in this. I've already shown the guys at BroAcres, and I thought it was funny. So when we get there, I'll clue you all in on what's going on. But you'll notice the main reason I'm doing this is to cover up the hole that the path made there. The hay bales, or the hay piles, or the straw piles, whatever they call them. Do really good to cover up path some path holes. So I thought the hats would fit. The hats are way too big for the skeleton. Darn. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put in a custom sign, another little cute photo op, and I was gonna leave it like that, and I was like, that looks boring, and I actually go ahead and I leave it, and I'll come back to it in a minute, but or no, I didn't record it. Oh, you'll see at the end. What I did is, I'm an idiot, and I didn't record this part, but I stuck a sign in. Those 3 skeletons are the Nagali Park fan club, and if you're familiar with my bro Mike Sheets YouTube channel, which I'm sure most of you are, you know he had a Nagali Park that blew up. He has 1 episode of that park, and it is awesome, and it blew up. And that was it. It only had 1 episode. So now it's become this huge meme on Bro Nation. Nagali episode 2 when? And so we just make fun of it now. So that's the Nagali fan club. They're still waiting for their 2nd episode. But we put in our first ride. I actually used one of the vintage rides. Go figure. Didn't use it in my vintage park, but I think it fits better in this area. I think it fits better. Like I wanted kind of cheap looking, old looking flats. Like if they have anything, they have older flats. Maybe they rent them for the season and then get rid of them. Although, again, looking at my inspiration, Bankston's Pumpkin Farm, they have some like legit rides at the park now. Like they should have a little coaster, and it's dinky, but it gave me courage to include a junior coaster. So there'll be a junior coaster coming to our Pumpkinpalooza here. I wanted to get some like quickly thrown up fencing. And so I actually kind of, just to kind of separate areas, and again, to try and hide those stumps. So you'll see we do a little bit here with that, where we kind of make the boards look a little wibble wobbly to kind of make it look like it was just kind of hammered out. So yeah, that's all it is, and we're going to detail this little area as best we can. Again, trying to get cute with covering up the goofy entrances and all that, because you definitely wouldn't see that. To be fair, you wouldn't have an attendant at the beginning of the queue, but Planko gonna Planko, so what are you gonna do about it? So, I do like, though, that we are on in the nature, I keep calling them invisible paths, but we have the natural pad for the ride. I actually am very pleased with the way this turned out. I use these I've never used these, but they are perfect for temporary, to make anything look temporary. Just slap this fence around and it'll look really temporary. And it's even funny because the fence kind of looks, it was poorly placed around it. Like they couldn't be arsed to get it looking nice. Who cares as long as they're safe. And then I had an issue here that I wish we had like a half-size version of this. That'd be really, really cool. So I faked it as best I could. Threw a couple of trees in, and in the comments someone suggested putting string lights, the pumpkin string lights, in the dead tree up near the front. And rather than doing that, and I actually thought about it once I plopped that tree, the dead tree there, and so I thought about it, and we're gonna give that the old college try coming up in just a second here. There they are. I like the effect. It's really touchy to try and get it to work. The pumpkin string lights are, like most things, too big to make it easy on you. And there's only a couple places where they would logically make sense. But it looked fine enough. And then with the addition of some bats and some spider webs, and I also toned down the color of those spider webs. The white are just way too bright, so toned them down to a gray to make them a little more transparent. But I like my little spooky themed tree. I think that's really cute. And at night, I like what it does at night. And we do some simple night lighting here to close out the episode. Some floodlights. I think these would absolutely be what they would have. I might have to find a generator. I know somebody made one for No Name Landia. I have to go in there and steal it. So yeah, with that being said, after these couple lights are in, that's pretty much the end of the episode. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing so you don't miss anything here on the channel. Have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever. There's Nagali Fan Club. And I will talk to you real soon. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.